Prime Minister, thanks for joining us at the end of this Labor conference.
Good morning.
So, a young Anthony Albanese once came along to these conferences with an aim to change minds and change the party platform. Have you heard anything here these last few days that's going to shift your position on anything?
Well, what we've had is really constructive engagement and deliberations done in full public view, broadcast live, with 400 delegates, 400 proxies having their say about the range of issues that will then feed into the government's short as well as long-term aspirations. That's the role of the conference here, and it's been really constructive. And it's been good to get that input from working people, from union delegates, from people who are in workplaces hearing about what's going on right around Australia, about the full range of economic, social, environmental issues.
But is there anything that's changed your mind on anything?
Well, our government does listen to people, but there's broad consensus about the direction in which we're taking the government. We're a government that doesn't sit idle. We don't just occupy the space, and there's recognition of that from delegates. We are a united party, we're cohesive, there is broad agreement about our general direction. We know who we are and what we stand for and the direction in which we want to take the country, and that stands in stark contrast with the chaos on the other side of politics.
There was one debate on the floor of the conference, it may have only been the only one debate, that there should be a conscience vote in the Parliament on whether telehealth consultations can be used for voluntary assisted dying. Where do you stand on this?
Well, it's a conscience vote, but I haven't changed my position on that.
What's that?
I'm a supporter of voluntary euthanasia. I think it is important that people have the right to die in dignity, with dignity, but it's also important that protections be placed around it. Now, if someone has a heart attack or an acute health condition, they need a doctor. They can't do that over telehealth. And I think that someone ending their life is just as important, and I think that it should be face-to-face recognition and face-to-face engagement, because otherwise, from my perspective, what that would do as well is undermine voluntary assisted dying.
So you're opposed to using telehealth for voluntary assisted dying?
That's my position. I always, these are very personal decisions though, that's why it's a conscience vote. So I respect the fact that there are different views on this.
Yep.
I've been approached, I've had some discussions about it, but I'm yet to be convinced that any move down that track. My concern is that the potential for misuse, but also the potential that it has to undermine the system in itself.
But will you allow the Parliament a conscience vote on this? Will this come forward to the Parliament now?
Well, that's a matter for government to determine.
But the Labor Party has said it should.
But governments determine what governments do around our cabinet table. What the conference does is put a general direction of what they want, and it's clear that it is a matter of conscience, all of those issues.
But it's clear that the Labor Party platform now says there should be a vote in the Parliament. You can't defy that, can you?
We can make decisions as a government, that's what we do.
Right.
And the Labor Party platform also says that it's a conscience vote.
So will you allow it or not?
On these issues? Well, that will be a matter for conscience. I have a position, and I haven't changed that position. But, you know,
But will you allow the vote in the Parliament?
Colleagues, what I will allow is for colleagues to express a view about what processes should occur.
So that's now for the caucus to decide.
Well, it's up to the Cabinet to decide, our government, and Cabinet makes decisions after and in consultation with the caucus. We're a very orderly government, David.
Okay.
That's one of the things that has put us in good stead over the last 4 years, and as we go forward, my government will continue to be an orderly, cabinet-level government that engages not just with the caucus, but importantly as well, engages outside with business, with unions, with civil society on all of these issues.
Okay, look, there's been an important debate leading up to and during the conference over artificial intelligence. You gave a major speech on this as well in the lead up. A few days ago, there was a fascinating moment where an autonomous open AI model went rogue during a test. What did you think of that? Are you worried about AI reaching the point where it's making autonomous decisions and doing its own thing and starting to hack data logs?
Of course, and this is one of the reasons why we need to have Australian standards for AI and why we need to shape change. AI is here. It's having an impact on the way that we work, on the way that we function, on the way that the media functions as well. And we need to make sure that humans are in control of it. That was one of...
Can you? I mean, this example seems to suggest humans can't always control.
Well, we need to make sure that that occurs. And that is why there are defence and security related issues here.
And what are they? Because I was keen for your thoughts on the national security implications here.
Well, national security implications are serious. One of the advantages that we have as a country in setting not just national standards for us, but I think in potentially leading the world is we are a Five Eyes country. And that puts us in a strong position. Now, we know that with defence, we're actually seeing it on the ground or in the sky in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, the role that AI is increasingly playing. You can have better targeted, more efficient, more timely use of defence issues, both offensive and defensive, with artificial intelligence. So all of these issues all need to be debated, and we do need humanity to be at the centre of it. That was the reason why I think the Pope gave his first papal encyclical on these issues, saying that we can't afford as a society for human beings to be left out of this process. We need to be front and centre, we need to be in control of it, and that is something that my speech at Sydney University was about elevating.
Do we also need to make sure Australia's got the best AI? Because Anthropic has put some restrictions on access to its most powerful model, the Mythos model. Will Australia get access to that?
Well, we're in discussions with Anthropic and other companies as well. The speech that I gave was about setting parameters for that. We want to make sure that the Australian standards include issues of energy use, water use, location, but also that they protect our sovereignty rather than undermine it. These are complex issues. One of the reasons why I will take the issues to the National Cabinet next month in August. We'll develop legislation that I'll introduce at the beginning of next year. Hopefully we might do an exposure draft at the end of the year as well, and we've already got the Office of Artificial Intelligence up and running in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Just coming back to the conference, your former minister, Ed Husic, has been pushing various changes at the conference, including much stronger condemnation of Israel. He didn't get his way. He says he's disappointed. There wasn't debate over this on the floor of the conference and was surprised at the pushback. Were you keen to avoid a debate over whether Israel has committed genocide?
Well, there has been contributions on the floor of the conference, including from Josh Burns and Bassem Abdo, two people who are considered in their approach, two people who recognise that it's in the interests of both Israelis and Palestinians to have peace and security in the Middle East. We want to see a two-state solution. We want to see Israelis and Palestinians living side by side. And we want to see that issue advance. There's been like-minded partners have a similar approach, whether it be the UK, Canada, European allies as well, or indeed countries in our region.
But what do you say to that push to have a recognition of Israeli genocide in the party platform?
Look, what I say is that the party platform has got the balance right. And what we need to do is to make sure that we as a country, this is a conflict a fair way away from us, but that everything that we do is balanced, that we say that I support the right of Israel to exist within secure borders. I also support the legitimate aspirations of Palestinians for their own state and to live in peace and security with prosperity. Now, we want to see that coming together, and Australia can play a role in promoting harmony rather than conflict, and that is a role that I want our government to continue to play.
What about the role Ed Husic has played at this conference more broadly, not just on this issue? Is he helping or hurting the Labor Party?
Look, Ed, like every other delegate, has a right to come along and to pursue whatever they say is or see as their objective, and that's fine by me.
You got no problem with what he's been doing?
I have no problem with any delegate to the conference having their say and making their contribution.
But they're being managed so that it's not happening on the floor of the conference, right?
Well, people are entitled to, but one of the things that's happening is that what's getting to the floor of the conference, it doesn't happen in isolation from, we have a whole process. We have a committee established that includes parliamentarians, includes people from the different state and territory branches.
But all out of the public eye.
They work. David, this is the most transparent political conference in Australia by far. It compares with the closed-door meetings of the Liberals or the Nationals. The Greens had a challenge to the leadership without anyone knowing for many months afterwards. We're a transparent party. It's broadcast live.
What about the section of your party? And again, they weren't successful on the conference floor, but this sort of anti-American sentiment, it seems like almost, wanting to water down commitments to ANZUS, AUKUS, to the US alliance. Are you worried about that strain in your party?
No, look, if you have 800 delegates and proxies together, you're going to have some different views. It's not a homogenous party. It's a party where people are really passionate about their views of the world. And what though happens at a conference is it comes together and you have an outcome rather than just a process and a mishmash, and then we go forward with the direction of the party.
But not the sort of public arguments you used to take part in, Anthony Albanese.
Well, the party has changed, and one of the things that's happened in the party is we are more cohesive, more united than we've ever been before. And I think that's a good thing.
Back on the United States, Donald Trump's imposed new tariffs on Australia and more than 80 other countries. This time Australia's copped a slightly higher tariff rate than the Europeans, India, Canada, Mexico. Are you going to raise this with President Trump?
Absolutely. These are unjustified. We'll raise it at every level of the Australia-US relationship. We've already done so. These are unjustified. We have very strong provisions on modern slavery. We're strengthening those even further by going through the supply chain issues and making sure that indeed substantial fines and penalties can be paid if those issues aren't dealt with.
Do you really think this is about slavery issues?
Well, it's unjustified. It's unjustified. Tariffs are a penalty on consumers in the country that imposes them. This will lead to higher costs in the United States and undermine the trading relationship that we have with our US friends. And of course, the US has enjoyed a trade surplus with Australia for such a long period of time, something that we will continue to point out.
The US war with Iran also continues, and we're seeing the oil price starting to get back up to, well, around where it was when you intervened with the cut in fuel excise to help motorists. That fuel excise relief completely comes to an end on Friday. Should motorists, do they deserve a bit more help though if the oil price is climbing again?
Look, we of course deal with a range of cost of living measures. That was one, but as well, people got a tax cut this month. The minimum wage was increased this month as well. So we deal with a range of issues as they arise.
Any more fuel excise relief?
But importantly, well, that's not in our planning at this point in time. We say we keep, obviously, we live in really turbulent times, but what our government has managed to do, and some said it was impossible, some said that there would need to be fuel rationing around Easter. Figures released just today shows indeed that fuel usage was cut around that time. I did my national address. We ran the campaign of every little bit helps to encourage people to take just what they need, not extra.
And usage has come down.
Usage has come down and is indeed lower than it was a year ago as well. That's a good thing. But importantly as well, we have kept supply going. There is now more fuel in Australia today than there was on February 28.
What's that cost Australia in the budget?
Well, there's substantial cost. Some of it will come back, but we allocated, as part of our fuel security plan, was in excess of $10 billion, but that was about better fuel security going forward, including a government-owned reserve. It's about, we'll have some more announcements about fuel in the coming days and weeks as well. But we also
fuel supply or storage, or
well, you'll have to wait for the announcement. But we'll continue to examine things that were in that process in the budget. But importantly as well, our relationships have produced a dividend for Australia.
Nonetheless, this ongoing war in Iran does have that impact on the oil price.
Of course
inflation.
It does, and we have said consistently we want to see a de-escalation, we want to see an end of the conflict, we want to see the Strait of Hormuz opened without fees going through, because that would undermine international trade.
Whether it's the war, whether it's the tariffs, is Donald Trump hurting the Australian economy?
Oh, look, we deal with President Trump constructively. I'll continue to do that. Obviously,
is he hurting our economy?
Well, the war is having an impact here in Australia, and the longer it goes, the bigger the conflict, the impact will be. This is a war on the other side of the world. We are not protagonists in it, but we are impacted by it, and we've consistently called for a de-escalation, and we'll continue to do so.
You must get frustrated, though, that Donald Trump's continuing to inflict these sorts of things on our economy.
My job is to deal with things as they are.
Okay.
And dealing things as they are means treating our allies with respect, engaging constructively with them, including with President Trump, and I'll continue to do so.
I want to ask you, PM, about the reports in the Nine newspapers over recent days about a private fundraising dinner. Firstly, did you attend a dinner at the home of Felix Lee in Point Piper?
Oh, look, I attend lots of functions.
What about this one?
I attend lots of functions in lots of places, including last night right here.
What about this dinner at Point Piper?
I attend lots of functions in
lots of places. Why don't you want
places.
to answer that?
Well, I do. You've just said that that occurred. You know, that's fine. I attend lots of dinners in lots of places, and I don't talk about private dinners. I've held a number this week here in Adelaide as well.
Lots of fundraising. This one, the concern is that his father is accused by the tax office of deceiving authorities about funneling huge sums of money from China to Australia. Is that a concern for you?
Well, I'm not aware of those issues.
Should you have been aware?
He wasn't there. He wasn't there. I attended a dinner last night with 750 people.
I'm not asking about that.
But they're the facts, David. I attend a lot of meetings, functions with lots of people, and talking about people's relatives, even removed from that.
Well, it's where the money's coming from, PM. Is this going to be looked into, whether there's a red flag here?
Well, we declare all of our donations in accordance with the rules. We're transparent about it. I do attend a lot of events, and you know, that is part of the process that occurs engaging with people.
Look, Prime Minister, we're near the midway point of this parliamentary term. You've just wrapped up the Labor Party National Conference. You are in a dominant position in your party. Will you be back in 3 years at the next Labor Conference?
I hope to be so, but that depends upon the Australian people. We certainly don't take anything for granted. And before the last election, there was a lot of speculation that we wouldn't be as successful as we were. My job is to be focused on the needs of the Australian people. The conference, I think, has assisted that. You know, we choose progress rather than just protest. We choose outcomes rather than outrage, and we choose to deliver real change. And that is what this conference has assisted in. That's what my government is focused on each and every day. And if we do that, then we will go to the Australian people and ask for their further support.
Finally, PM, on a lighter note, have you ever yelled at your dog, Toto?
I certainly have not, and I think Toto's pretty spoilt, frankly. And no, she's. You've met Toto.
I have.
How could anyone
Lovely
yell
dog.
at Toto?
Lovely dog. Prime Minister, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.